Today, we're diving into something really profound, a parable from a text called The Sixth Word. And it proposes this single, life-altering trade, a deal so profitable it kind of makes you rethink everything. So, what is this offer? And what does it ask of us? Let's get into it.
And it all really hinges on this one powerful verse. The whole idea is a transaction, right? You're being offered the chance to sell what you think is yours, your body, your stuff, your very self, in exchange for something that lasts forever. It's a huge premise, and it sets the stage for the story we're about to unpack.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start with the trade itself, then jump into this amazing parable about two men who have to make this choice. After that, we'll decode what the story really means, and finally, we'll weigh the 5 big wins of saying yes against the 5 big losses of saying no.
So this really brings us to the core question, doesn't it? How profitable could it possibly be to sell your own self and your stuff to God? To basically hand over the keys to everything you are and everything you have. Is that a good deal? Well, according to this parable, it's the best deal you're ever going to get.
To really hammer this point home, the text tells a story. So picture this. There's this wise and powerful king, and he gives 2 of his subjects this incredible piece of property, a whole estate, kitted out with everything they could ever need. But here's the catch. They're living in this super chaotic time of war, where everything is unstable and anything they have could be destroyed in a heartbeat. Now the king sees this danger on the horizon, and being a compassionate ruler, he sends a trusted messenger with an offer. He basically says, hey, that amazing estate I gave you, it's in danger. Sell it back to me. I'll keep it safe for you so it doesn't just get wiped out for nothing. So you see, it's framed as an act of protection, not a power grab.
Okay, now you have to hear the terms of this deal, because they are just unbelievably generous. The king doesn't just say I'll buy it. He promises 5 huge profits. He says he'll return the property in even better shape. He'll pay a really high price for it. And on top of that, the guys can keep using all the tools, but now they're using them in the king's name, which makes their value shoot up 1,000 times. And get this, the king covers all the expenses. They just get to keep all the profit. I mean, who would turn that down? Well, faced with this incredible offer, the 2 subjects could not be more different. The first one, the wise one, he gets it immediately. He's grateful, he's happy, he's all in. But the other guy, he's arrogant. He's like, no way. Who's the king to tell me what to do? I'm not selling. I'm not going to let him ruin my fun.
In the consequences of their choices, they are swift and absolute. The man who took the deal, he's elevated to this high rank, living happily and securely in the king's own palace. The one who refused, well, he loses it all in the war and ends up suffering. He's a tragic figure for sure, but he really brought it on himself.
So, by now you've probably figured it out, right? This isn't just a bedtime story about a king and some real estate. This is where it all clicks into place, and we get to decode what every piece of this story actually means for us, in our own lives.
And here it is, the decoder ring for the whole parable. The king, that's your creator. And the estate with all its tools, that's not land, it's your life, your body, all your senses, your intelligence, your sight, your hearing. The messenger is the messenger of God. That wise decree is the Holy Quran, and that chaotic, war-torn battlefield, well, that's just our temporary, always-changing world.
Okay, so now that we know what the trade really is, let's talk about the reward for accepting it. Just like the wise man in the story got 5 huge profits, the text lays out 5 incredible benefits you get when you entrust your life back to the one who gave it to you.
So yeah, let's break down these 5 profits. They're laid out so clearly, and they really paint a picture of just how much you stand to gain when you make this divine trade.
First, your temporary, fleeting life gets stamped with a quality of everlasting. Second, the price you get for the trade is, literally, paradise. Third, and I find this one fascinating, the value of every part of you, every sense you have, gets multiplied 1,000 times over. Fourth, your natural human weakness and anxieties gets replaced with this deep trust in an all-powerful creator. And finally, the things you do to worship him actually become the rewards you'll enjoy later in paradise.
Let's dig into that third profit for a second, because it has some really practical day-to-day meaning. Take your intelligence. The text says if you just use it for yourself, for your ego, it becomes this source of pain, always worrying about the past, always scared of the future. But if you sell it to its owner, if you use it for a higher purpose, it turns into a key that unlocks these amazing treasures of wisdom and compassion.
The same logic applies to your eyes. You can use them just for your own desires, chasing after fleeting, surface-level beauty,
Or you can use them on behalf of their maker. And when you do that, they become this amazing tool for seeing the miracles and the artistry in the world around you. You become a reader of the great book of being.
This even applies to your sense of taste. It can be just a gatekeeper for your stomach, nothing more. But when you see it as a gift, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a way to appreciate the incredible variety and compassion of the provider. The whole point here is that the purpose of our own bodies, our own senses, can be completely elevated.
So of course, if you have 5 prophets for saying yes, there have to be consequences for saying no. This next part is all about the 5 huge losses you suffer if you're like the arrogant guy in the story and you just refuse the deal. And you guessed it, the text keeps that parallel structure. There are 5 distinct losses that are basically the mirror image of the 5 prophets that were on the table. First, all the stuff you try to hang on to, your youth, your life, it all disappears anyway. But instead of leaving value, it leaves behind pain and regret. Second, you face a penalty for what's seen as a betrayal of trust. Third, by using these precious gifts for worthless things, you're basically insulting the wisdom that created them. Fourth, you're left to carry this incredibly heavy weight of life all by yourself. And fifth, you twist these beautiful gifts, like your mind and your sight, into tools that just end up causing you suffering. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, man, this sounds really hard, like a life of constant sacrifice. But the text actually calls this out directly. It says, nope, not at all. The duties aren't heavy and the rules aren't super restrictive. The limits are described as broad and easy.
So what does this duty actually look like day to day? Well, the text explains it as a shift in your intention. It's about acting like a soldier on behalf of their king. Every little thing you do, taking something, giving something, moving, even being still, it's all done consciously, according to a higher purpose and law. It's about living life on purpose. And so, we're left with this one final, powerful question that this whole parable has been building towards. That estate, those tools, all that property, it's all a metaphor for your life. And your life, the text says, is a trust that's been placed in your hands. So the choice, ultimately, is yours. How are you going to use it?